So they tilt, if we will, in windmills, they tilt those windmills towards affordable. And that's what they want, is to come up with affordable housing.
So what's being proposed
What is being, well,
is not a good idea?
I have other ways of accomplishing the same thing that I'm not sure that, that you want. I'll end up falling down here from exhaustion. But I really do see that there are opportunities in our community to develop affordable housing in other ways other than this way. I think one way, and I'll give you an example, and I'm not sure how this might happen, but we have the other half of the J.T. Berry, which is going virtually nowhere. It is property that we certainly want to reserve for the use that we envisioned as a community. But in this marketplace,
I'll wait.
go ahead.
I would wait. I personally am perfectly content with waiting.
Okay, well, I mean, we can.
Rather than putting
But
additional
how-
affordable housing on it.
But, the time value of money, Mr. O'Leary,
It's not our money at this particular point because we weren't getting paid on
Okay.
this particular parcel.
but
anyway.
if we could take and negotiate with the state and say, look,
Let's put another
we
400 or
bought,
500 units in.
we bought till 2012 with the rental units. Can we take the rest of this land and put some kind of housing out here in perpetuity? So that the 40Bs are off our friggin' backs forever.
But that's never gonna happen, because as the housing stock.
Why not?
No, every time you
The
add, if you
housing-
add another
right.
400 units, we need another 40 units on top of
Right,
that, because
so-
it
Yeah,
adds
yeah,
to
yeah,
the
but
housing
wait a
stock.
second.
what we have.
You
We're
have to
already
go to the state and say,
The
guys,
reason we're currently behind is because of the 460, the vast majority,
Well,
because
we're
we
not
put 460
behind.
units out there. Now, that
we're,
took care of our problem for a long
we're even,
time.
we're not behind.
We're a little behind.
We're behind.
Behind.
We're already behind.
Okay.
24 units already.
We're a little bit behind, but it doesn't matter.
All right.
Okay, but
Even if we were even, we're still gonna need units.
We are gonna need
yeah,
units.
we're gonna need new units in
But
2038 when the
we
license
have
on
to
those-
negotiate.
Yeah, but
We only have, build-out, we are approaching build-out in this community. How much land do we have? Are we gonna stuff these damn things, these 40Bs, in every single neighborhood for the rest of our lives and
Isn't
annoy
this
the
a
hell
way-
out of people?
This is a way
This is a
around
way
it.
to avoid that, though.
Well, I'm not so,
I don't think so.
Well,
I-
it doesn't stuff 40Bs, you're taking one unit out of every 6 or 7, making that
Okay.
affordable. Your issue regarding a taint on the development, I think that's because there's a misconception out there concerning affordable versus low income. So I think that's the issue. I don't
Okay.
think affordable unit puts a taint on that development. People have to be educated that it's not low income,
Right,
it's
and
affordable housing.
Yeah.
If you see what you have to meet in terms of the income criteria, it's not low income. So that's the issue that's out
Okay.
there. That's a misconception.
I'm not going to argue. You
No,
have
no,
a-
I'm not arguing, but I
No,
understand.
you have
your
a point.
Your valid point is a current property right issue. That's a valid point that we have
But
to
the,
wrestle
but the
with.
further point is, somehow we have to stop the state from
A
mandating.
lot of things I like to stop the state from doing, but we can't.
well, sometimes you can make a conscious decision to say, you know what, do what you have to do, but in the meantime, try and, handle your build-out.
I'd like to go into the State House and make my case. I really would.
Go for it.
I really would.
Be right behind
I
you.
don't know,
Maybe
they'll,
you should-
they'll probably hand me my hat and I'll walk out of there.
Take your passion and apply it in that area. I mean, that may be a solution. I think that, I look at it maybe in a very simple-minded way. We were 406 units behind before the Berry was developed.
Right,
Now and the census is every 10 years.
right.
And here we are at the beginning of the 10-year period, only 24 units behind.
That's pretty good.
That's pretty good. I think it'll take care of itself. And I like this idea, all right? Maybe you wanna, you picked, I think the picking of, the sixth unit is an arbitrary thing, right? On a 40B, you're giving, on a 40B, it's 1 in 4. I mean, even at 1 in 10, you may not catch up, but it may be,
The 1 in 10 just takes care of that 10% for those 10. That's why we
That's
wanted
why
to
we
go a
went
little
lower.
more.
Get a little extra.
To get a little extra, because we are behind now. And we're gonna continue to be behind, because there'll be single, 2-acre lots that'll subdivide at some point when they change hands. And you're not gonna get an affordable unit in there. You're only gonna get one with nothing. So you're gonna always add to the negative.
no, yeah, I understand.
The recommendation is 20%. That's what everybody says, that's the basic recommendation, they should always do 20%. And we went less than that, we're about 16. So we actually are being a little more generous than what the recommendations to us by the other communities. A third of the communities in the state do it, and they're communities that are similar to us, where they have a lot of development that's gone on. If you're in a community that's had minimal development and you really only need 3 units to catch up, you wouldn't care about a law like this. But in our particular case, we do care about it. And it has some real important ramifications that we haven't even talked about. Things like, while Edgewood did catch us up, it also presents its own group of problems as far as the drains on public services and so forth. If you integrate this 1 unit at a time into a neighborhood, those problems don't exist. And it's a much fairer way, if you will, of integrating affordable housing into your community.
And it eliminates the stigma.
Shep, you said something about
Eliminates
a
the
brother
stigma
wanted to
completely.
speak.
Yeah. My brother is a civil engineer, and he speaks as civil engineers do in mystery speak occasionally, and I listen because I respect mystery speak. So I'm going to let him make a presentation to you from an empirical, reasoned development perspective, okay? And so I have,
Mr. Yule,
Yeah, I
had a
wanted to ask you one more question.
Go ahead.
If you don't mind. You mentioned an idea about parcels of land around town. You kind of brought that up as an idea, and I wanted to hear a little bit more about that. Conceptually, if I'm understanding you correctly, that there are parcels around the community that maybe the town could assign as an affordable housing lot.
correct.
We did that,
We're done.
just so that, we
Jeff, you
created
already
an
have that,
affordable
Jeff.
housing overlay district 2 years ago that designates certain parcels, and it actually gives density, it less
That's
density
exhausted, is that what
bonuses.
you're saying?
Nobody's
used
used
them.
it, no
Nobody's
one's used
them.
it.
And in fact, they could actually do this. If you came in and you wanted to build 6 high-end homes, you could go and get that lot and build on it. It's available. So you don't have to build a house in your.
On that
Right,
parcel.
right.
In that parcel.
Yeah.
You could take
That's
one of these lots that we've already said, hey, look, this is what you got. You can get some good stuff here. You could put 2 houses up.
And
Okay?
that doesn't satisfy the state?
Well, it helps.
It
helps.
helps.
It's planning.
It doesn't satisfy.
This helps a little bit more, Jeff, in an ammunition against someone coming in. I wanna put 400 houses up, off of Anthony Way, okay, which I think that was their plan 10 or 12 years ago. We could say no to that and say, look, this is what we're
Right.
doing,
Remember you
we're
talked
close
about that,
now,
yeah.
we've made it once, we're close, and we're working towards that. We have a plan,
The-
and that'll help us with the state to say, okay, you guys don't have to do that.
But with those parcels, are you saying that we still don't have enough, or is that?
Well, the difference is that is optional, like, that's optional, like, a developer has the option of using those designated parcels. No one's come forward with a proposal. The reason why, there is some kickback from the development community is that this is mandatory.
Right.
This is,
There's a lot of
so
flexibility.
there's,
There's a lot of
that's why
flexibility in
there's
this law.
objections.
And to allow developers to, if they think that they're gonna build that high of an end of a situation, there's enough flexibility to pick another one of these locations and use it. We already have the overlay district in place, so So,
How many units in the overlay
But-
district, how
but-
many units are available, do you anticipate could be built in the overlay district as you currently have it laid out?
It's in the zoning bylaw, let me bring it up, but I wrote down the streets, some of the
I
streets.
don't
that
remember,
it's
I don't know
on.
exactly
I don't
how many, I
remember.
don't think we've
There
got
was
that
at
down.
least like 20 parcels.
Yeah, it would be, I'll
How
find
many?
it for you.
At least 20.
20 parcels, but
20
how many
parcels.
units could be put on those parcels? Is it 20 units?
Oh, I'd have to go back.
Well, I mean, that's what I
apologize,
need to
but
know.
have go back to my
I know we
zoning
did
bylaw.
this overlay thing.
Yeah.
Right, there's probably, maybe, if we did every one of them right now to their full density, we might just get there. Today,
So out of the 20 parcels, you might get 24 units.
you may get 24 units. Because there's some you can put a two-family, townhouse kind of
Right.
thing and get it in there. That'll just get us by today. But you build one more house, you know, you build another few houses.
And
We
those
have-
parcels that are in the overlay district are not necessarily town-owned land, correct? Or is it towned-owned land?
I'm sorry, I didn't hear the question.
Town-owned.
It's not town-owned land, it's
No,
also
they're not
private
town-owned
land.
Not all.
Land.
However, there's a municipal building reuse section that's included in it, so any municipal building or reuse of a municipal building could take that density requirement if the town so chose to do so.
One of the points about doing this as well is it's another step to show DHCD that we're serious about meeting the goal that we're supposed to meet. And it gives us that much more leverage if someone tries to bring an unwanted 40B to us, that they can say, listen, they're doing everything that we required of them to meet their goal, and and if you have a plan that shows that you will ultimately meet your goal, which is one of the reasons you don't do 10%, because that's not a plan to meet your goal, that's a plan to stay even with what you're building. But you'll never meet your goal. This plan says that at some point, if you follow this out far enough, we'll meet our goal. And that's enough for DHCD to say, okay, you know, we're not gonna force this 40B on you.
But what's wrong with having the 25% bogey under 40B?
Oh, there's nothing wrong with that, except for,
Right.
again, you're back to the situation where they decide where it's going, not you.
I'm
Well,
unfriendly for
and-
you.
and
No,
in
no, I
fact-
understand that, but you know, you and I put a lot of hours in.
Yeah, we did.
You know, we put hundreds
Very
and hundreds of hours.
productive, and with that would, it has become that
That became a
subcommittee that you
model.
ran is a model.
It should be, and that's how it should work.
Right,
Right, not the way it
Not
it
always.
does work in most towns.
yeah.
I
But I have
understand
a
that.
question, Steve, one question, if I may, Mr. Chairman. The neighbors for those properties,
Right,
are they all happy?
no.
Are they all, no, nobody's,
Okay.
nobody's, no.
But if we do this,
There are
You
no
think that-
unhappy neighbors.
well, they're gonna be unhappy because they got a subdivision there,
Are you kidding me?
but
But they'll
if
know what they're
it
buying,
was a subdivision,
but they know what they're buying into.
yeah,
That's the
they
difference.
know there's vacant land there, they could buy that vacant land.
Oh, shit.
Well,
They could, Shep, you know, if
Yes,
they
they
really had a
could.
problem, they could buy that vacant land.
Shep, I
Yep.
think,
Okay.
I think you're right on in terms of saying that the only way to fix this problem is to get the state to change the
I
rules.
don't think,
Well-
maybe if we're gonna hear from
I'd like to propose that you listen to my brother, because he's gonna present to you the reasons why. This boils down to a matter of incentives.
All right, let's
Okay.
hear from,
let's hear from
you, brother.
Now, if you want to listen, please listen to my brother. He's gonna speak to the incentives of the developer and why we do this. Craig, this is my brother Craig. Craig and I have developed a 45 lot subdivision, residential subdivision in Georgetown together. We know this business fairly well. Craig? have at
Thank
it.
you. Craig Spear from Linfield. Thank you. Well, I have mixed emotions also, similar to most people here, that I'm in favor of the concept of affordable housing. Unfortunately, after reviewing this bylaw, I was terrified. I considered it was effectively a 17% tax on the property. 1 out of 6 of the units has to go to affordable housing. There is absolutely no incentive in this bylaw. Under 40B, as people have talked about, under local incentive projects, I've never seen a affordable housing that is only gonna hammer with no incentive. This is the one. We don't have a density incentive. We don't have any kind of incentive to say, you know, if you own, let's call it 6 acres or 7 acres, you want to put in 7 houses, well, sorry, I'm gonna go up there and price your property